Hello, everybody. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. Due to everybody wanting a part two of Brittany's stories, we have her back today to record with us. Um, she did have a lot of pretty scary stories. But before we get started, guys, I'd like to thank everybody for your support, for all the support for Hunter. I want to thank my moderators for being here each and every time that I've needed them. It helps me out so much to be able to do this because, as you know, a lot of this is going toward helping, fight for Hunter. So smashing that like button is always a big help. And of course, if you want to help with Hunter, usually we have everything in the description that you're able to do that with. But I'm going to go ahead and bring everybody in, and we'll get started. I think we're going to have a really good part two. I think it's going to be really exciting, and I don't know. Brittany might have some new encounters. Hopefully not. All right, I'm going to go ahead and we'll bring everybody in.
Hey.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Ready for a part two?
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
How are you doing, Brittany?
I'm doing good. I'm glad it's Friday.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
When you're retired, every day is Friday.
That's right.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the reminder.
I cut grass every Friday.
So, Brittany, you were quite the show last time. Everybody was requesting a part two.
I know, I heard. I'm flattered. I'm excited to be back. So thank you all for having me.
It's not every day you find somebody that has so many attachments. Really?
Stop it. I know. A couple of my family members looked and they were like, "You did good," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, maybe you should be on there with me." But yeah, so I'm happy to be back. So
Glad to
hopefully
have
I've
you.
got some good stuff to share again.
Yeah, it's this stuff has always been pretty scary to me. The paranormal side.
Yeah.
Then you get people that say that they think that the cryptid side is scarier. To me, the cryptid side is not as scary to me.
Mm.
I think my thing is if I know I can deal with something in the flesh and blood, that at least I know I have a chance. But when you're dealing with something that's outside of the body, you can't see it. It's a spiritual battle, and I think that's a whole different encounter.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't know if I don't know what's worth, seeing something or hearing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't want to hear anything. If I have heard things, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm not hearing this. Like, Lord help me.
But would you rather hear something, or would you rather like see something move, or like something touch you?
Well, see, that's a whole nother thing too. To touch you, I don't know if I want anything. I think I'd be terrified if something touched me. I mean,
Really, the choice is C, none of the above.
Right.
Right.
yeah, because I've seen some things move. And you let me know when you want me to just get. I've got a couple of different little stories and some other reminders that my sister. That's another thing, guys. I was gonna have my sister on with us, but she picked up a ship, so you got me.
Which is not a good enough excuse. Just letting her know.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah, she's gonna see this and she's gonna be like, "Man, why didn't you tell him next week?" No, no, today was the day.
Threw me under the bus, sis.
We'll put her in timeout. No problem.
Yeah.
We'll act like she's on the show, and we'll just put her to the side. And she'll just be talking to nobody.
Maybe I should have had her picture up here on the side.
There you go.
I know a podcaster that has a demon that whispers in his ear the whole show.
Wow.
Oh goodness.
Can't wait for Halloween.
Yeah. So, Brittany, I'll let you go ahead and start off with whichever story you want to start off with, and then I'm sure I'll have a million questions for you.
Yeah, well, okay. So I kind of wrote a couple of things and some reminders down just because I was trying to sit back and just think of, the different things that we had or that I've encountered. And I'll go back to, and this is a short encounter. So I said previously that, I'm in my childhood home and there were 5 of us. This was a short encounter. This is back then when you've got the Walkmans and the headphones and things like that. So I was actually in the kitchen and I had my headphones on and I was making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And my mom and dad were in the back and my sister, my siblings and them, they were in their room. And we had like a clothes basket that was sitting on the floor in there in the den. And so I'm just making my peanut butter and jelly. I've got my headphones on. I'm just, rocking out, as my sister told me, she's like, yeah, you were being greedy. That's what leave it to your siblings to be nasty. But anyway, so
Mike knows that real well.
Yeah. And this is a short thing, but I was staying in the kitchen and like I said, we had a clothes basket that was sitting there and all of a sudden the clothes basket, imagine somebody kicking it. It just literally like flew up and towards one of the windows. And I like jumped and I just took off. I dropped the knife and I ran down the hall. I told my dad and my mom what happened. And so my dad, he came in there and he was like, what? And I was like, the basket, it just looked like it looked like somebody kicked it. It's not that it toppled over. It literally went up in the air.
Wow.
And I told him and he was like, are you sure it just didn't topple, just topple over? I was like, how could it topple over that? And I was scared and I didn't know. And I was like, why, again, what the heck is going on? And so that was an encounter. I was actually in middle school during that time. So that's just one simple thing that happened to me here. Another thing is this was actually just a couple of years back, probably about 3 or 4 years back. My mom was here. It was my mom and I. And by this time, my dad has already passed. This is a little more recent. My sister actually reminded me of this. We've got I can probably show you a little bit. You see this little old school, I don't know if you can see that mirror. So there's like candles and eggs and like glass eggs and things like that up there. I was in my room. My room is the first room down the hall. So you go down the hall, it's to the right. Then we've got our guest room, now the office, and then the main room. So my mom's, she's in her room. It's just, again, it's me and my mom, my dog here. I don't know about you guys, but you kind of get used to, I don't know if this makes sense, but you get used to hearing people, hearing your family, hearing, when somebody's coming out of their room. I had my door cracked. I was watching TV. The hall light was off, and my mom was in her room back there watching TV. All of a sudden, I just hear like a big old like knock. I'm gonna try to do it. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I hear that, and I'm just watching TV, and I put the TV on mute, and I just hear my mom. She was like, "What was that?" So I was like, "Oh," and I yell, and I'm like, "I don't know what it was." So I turned the TV back on because I'm like, I'm not getting up. But
Go find out, Mom.
yeah, seriously, because I was like, you know what? And again, I had my little Shih Tzu too, and he heard it. But I hear her, and she turns the hall light on because again, my door is cracked. It's dark in the hall. She turns the hall light on. So I'm like, she was like, "What was that?" So I'm like, "Shoot." I'm like, "Mom, I don't know." So we get up to come and investigate, and it looks like, and it's so weird because of the distance. I don't know how one of the glass candles, the holders, it must have, and I'm going to say flew off, because there's no reason for that to just fall. That's way up there. So when we came in, it was all the way across the living room by the door. So it must have, I'm going to say, flew off and hit the glass table here and bounced off, because the candle was also on the floor. And I'm like looking, and my mom's looking because we don't know what it was. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, how did that happen? And she was like, is that one of the And I was like, yeah. So that was, I don't know what the heck that was about. She was baffled. And then she kind of made a comment. She was like, that's probably your dad. And I'm like, no, it's not, but it was, I even tried to like swipe it off, make it bounce off the couch and see, could it have, bounced off the couch, fell, toppled off the couch and hit the glass table. There's just no way that happened. I honestly feel like something threw it off and it hit the table and it bounced off towards the door, because so little things, different things like that. I picked it up, put it back up there. I was a little disturbed with it. My mom, the fact that she actually seemed like, okay, something's wrong, but, she went back in her room. I went back in my room, and I'm like, there's something weird, I don't know if, I almost started thinking about, there's different things here. She's got like little angels and little dolls and stuff, and things that people have given her that I have actually, since last October, put it in a box. I almost wondered if there was some kind of energy in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that. Is I've got cameras in here. I got a camera back here too. One of the cameras, you pick up like orbs and stuff, and sometimes I don't know if that's like bugs, but in the dark you could see orbs and stuff in here, and it doesn't happen all the time. So I started wondering that, do we have something in this house that was given to any of us, over the years, that could be haunted? Maybe something's attached to it. I don't know. I really don't. So do you have any questions so far?
Oh, I think it's interesting that it seems like in a lot of the encounters in the houses and things, that clothes are always affected. Scott had the towel.
Float up in there.
Yeah, and people talk about shirts moving, or it seems like something to do with clothes. I don't know why, unless it's
well, it probably doesn't take as much energy to lift a towel as it does something else,
Right.
Might be a lighter material for them to be able to maneuver it.
And throwing stuff, you would think that throwing something in your front room, that it's deliberately seeking attention. I mean, it wouldn't do it, if it didn't want you to know. It's doing it to get attention, I would think.
That's exactly what they're doing. Is trying to get your attention, to let you know that they're there.
And it's true, because I think that was actually back in 2018. And, you guys are bringing a good point, because I was dating someone back then. And my mom liked, and try to make a long story short with this, she started getting on me because I wasn't home. So I've been here with my mom when my father passed away. She didn't want to be here by herself. She was with my dad since she was 16 years old. She lost the love of her life. You know what I mean? And, she had told me a couple of times that she was here and she heard like somebody was in there messing with the dishes. And I was like, no. And I know I was telling my friend about this, back. She was like, well, no, we don't have no damn mice. Excuse my language. We don't got no rats, no rodents, like anything like that. Because you would kind of think, well, what if something was moving around in there? But she had told me that she was hearing the dishes moving in there. She was like, Daddy was in there, washing the dishes or something. Another time she told me that it sounded like somebody was breaking ice on the floor. When you got a bag of ice and you want to break it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She said she was hearing that, but see, I wasn't here. And so I was like, well, maybe you're just tired. I started thinking she was just making up excuses because I was staying out longer and she just wanted me to stay home. So here I am, the child, and I'm like, you just making up stuff. So you don't want me to leave and go to the movie, But I did start to think about it, and I'm like, it is a little, I'm here by myself, and it's very true. I'm really thankful that I've got a dog, even though he's a little Shih Tzu, because when you're by yourself and you're just used to having someone here, it can get a little, I don't want to say creepy, but sometimes it is. It's very, you feel isolated, and it's just like a void. And I'm
Right.
used to having somebody or a pet. And so, I mean, I think about, just being here a lot of the times. And, when I would drop my dog off to get groomed, and then I would come back home, and even with working, it's such a feeling of loneliness. And I don't know if that's like a self-conscious thing, or maybe if that's what she was going on. But I did believe her because, there were different things that were going on in the house. And so I just thought back on the times when we tried to explain to her, stuff that was going on, and she kept saying, oh, it's because God is showing you, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like her they just never had that kind of, I don't know. We just didn't grow up with things like that. I know my dad had shared some things when he was a kid that he had experienced, but if anything, she'd always just say it's the devil, it's, something like that. But there was never amongst, my parents and stuff that talked about ghosts or spirits or things like that. I know she would just chop it up to say it was the devil instead, as we got
Right.
older, if that makes sense. So,
Well, it's part of the devil. It's the demons that are underneath his rule.
yeah.
So it is, yeah.
Well, I wonder if maybe, and I do believe this is possible, a residual.
Oh, residual hauntings.
Yeah. That's something that's just kind of, since y'all lived there so long, it just imprinted in the the atmosphere, your atmosphere of the
Yeah.
house.
It's like a video that just keeps repeating itself over and over.
Yeah.
What about the possibility that every time it happened, your mom would say that it was your dad, and by her acknowledging it and giving it place, she was giving it power? Because when we acknowledge these powers, principalities, and all,
Yeah.
when you acknowledge them, you give them power, because now not only are you hearing a noise, you're giving it a name, and then you have a familiar spirit.
Yeah.
Know what your dad would have done in his life, or a
Right.
loved one, and it's going to continue to do those
Mhm.
things to keep your attention. And the more and more attention it gets, the stronger it becomes, because then it becomes welcomed.
Yeah. And my dad passed in 2016. I honestly, like I said, during that time, I felt like, because she had a hard time. She was very, very low, depressed. Yeah, she had her faith. She was going to church and stuff like that. But I almost felt like, even with her saying that, because I had dreamt of my dad a lot. She had finally had a dream about him. And I think after that dream, I say quote, because the more the more I've studied in my faith and with praying, and I realize that those aren't our loved ones. In my opinion, now I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's probably not my loved ones that I'm dreaming about. And so, but I think she felt comfort because she said that she had a dream of him and he was in her face and he was laughing at her, like saying, "Babe, I'm all right," type of thing. And I don't know if she was just vulnerable and maybe hearing things, that's when the enemy comes too. He
Oh
comes
yeah.
to bother you. You're vulnerable, you're depressed, you're sad, you're low on your spirits. I do think that maybe there was just some energy and stuff here, but I don't think it was my dad. I mean, and she made those comments, and I honestly don't think she meant it, but it was something that was giving her peace in her mind at that point,
Right.
in
Right.
that moment. But shit, that wasn't it's not art. And I've got some other stories too surrounding that, things like that I would probably be contradicting this statement, but and I'll share those too.
Well, I think you're right because uh, I think that people will give a name to it, if you will, but an excuse to what it is to
Yeah.
Mhm.
not be afraid. Because my
Yeah.
dad, he would hear things in the house, and the bell would ring or something, and my dad would always say, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just Grandpa."
Yeah.
I'd tell
Yeah.
Dad, I'd say, "Grandpa, hell, that's a demon." Grandpa ain't
Right.
walking around in the front room. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I think that's what my dad done to keep it from really like freaking him out. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
you talk about hearing like the ice in the floor at my mom's house, which would have been my granny's. They would be in their front room or in their bedroom at night, and it would sound like something would pour peas or beans all over the kitchen floor. Sound like
Mm.
they would go everywhere. They would go in there, and there'd be nothing there.
Mhm.
I think it's an attention grabber.
I
Mhm.
agree. Yeah. And
Though
it's
I
oh,
will say that houses do make noises. I know
yeah.
that. I mean, since I've moved here, I mean, it's a new place, and yeah, I hear noises, but 99% of the time, 100%, it's pine cones hitting the roof of my house or part of a branch, and it'll jar you.
Right.
What
Hmm.
about the thing that walks behind you sometimes?
I don't have anything walking behind me.
It's got one blue eye.
Yeah, no,
It's right there, Brooks. I'm just kidding.
yeah, yeah, right.
No,
Now,
we
now
rebuke
since
that in the name of Jesus.
now since I've been here, night before last, I mean, I've got my little dog, and he started barking in the middle of the night, and he never does that.
Hmm.
And I mean, I woke up and I'm laying there listening to him bark. I've got everything locked up, and so I called him back into the bedroom, and I laid there and I listened, but I could hear one of the neighbor's dogs barking.
Mm.
So, that tells me either there's a bear out there or a mountain lion, something that's got them
Bigfoot.
barking. Yeah,
Right.
it could be Bigfoot. Yeah, yeah.
You
But
just
at my
go
it's
ahead.
crazy. At my parents' house, we had a big long hall, and those walls would pop. And it'd come down the hall, pop, 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 pop. That scared me when I was a kid.
Yeah, that scared me too. Uh,
Hmm.
Whenever I used to work in the mall at night by myself, that thing would pop and moan, uh,
Hmm.
and I'm talking like loud bangs. I mean, it would echo plumb through
Mm-mm.
the mall. And those weren't
Yeah.
so bad because they told me to expect that. But the worst thing is whenever I was sitting at my desk in there by myself in this big old huge dark mall, and you hear people talking, you hear
Mm.
cash.
Oh,
Oh, you can hear cash registers running. Like the mall's open, and you walk
Mm.
out there and it's closed.
yeah, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. I mean, I've seen videos like that.
See, to me, something like that would be what they call the residual.
Yeah, because it's like it never did close. You could hear the movies
Right.
playing sometimes, like a movie was playing, but there was no movie playing.
Right.
It was stuff like that. It was really weird. But what's weird? The longer you work in that, you kind of get used to it. Except for when we took the picture of the little girl standing at the door looking at us.
Mm-mm.
That was pretty weird. We had a little 8-year-old girl in a dress that you could see through. One of the officers' body cameras caught it, and you could see the little girl standing at our door. And there's no way she could have been, because the building was locked down, the motion detectors were on, and everything. There's no way she could have been there, but she was.
Mm.
They even named her, and I told them they should not have done that.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But they would be walking through the mall, and they would hear something, and one of the officers would say, "Trisha, you stop that." I'd say, "You should not do that."
Yeah.
Y'all should have named it Brooks.
No.
It's
And
God,
like,
it's so bad.
I'll tell you, Halloween, it was scary in there because they would put tables out with tablecloths over them that would hang down to the floor. At nighttime, part of the security protocol was they had to put those up on top of the tables when they would leave, so the officers could see under the tables. One night, one of the blankets was down or whatever of the table, so an officer went over to put it up, and whenever he was doing it, he heard a little girl giggle, and she pulled back on it.
Oh.
It's like a little girl was trying to play with him.
Yeah. No.
And then come to find out, a little girl did die in the mall. She drowned in the fountain. So,
Dang.
Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
And I know Scott has talked about this a lot. We're spirits are around us all the time. I do think that a lot of people are maybe a little more sensitive than others. And I don't know if that's just a faith thing or just because you believe, or because a lot of the times things happen to folks in different homes. Like my older sister that I was going to have on, she's moved from place to place, and I don't think anything follows her. It's just that I think that she's a little more sensitive to things because she's had experiences. My older sister, she's the same way. We were on a phone call. We do family group calls and stuff on Facebook, sometimes Messenger, video chat, or we have three-way calls, and we'll be mid conversation talking about something, or I will say this, we start talking about God and the Bible, and then all of a sudden somebody's phone wants to hang up, or something happens to where we get disconnected, and it's like, okay, you don't want us to talk about the Lord, but then we all, we find our way back to each other, or we, call and do a three-way call again. But there's been a couple of times when she's on the phone with us, and she's hearing stuff in her kitchen, and she's like, "Here we go again." And she says that there's a little boy and there's a little girl in her house that likes to mess around and make noise. And I, again, she's been in that house for probably like 4 or 5 years. She's renting. But I think, yeah, we shouldn't give it names, or I don't think it's, demons take on the form
Right.
of, it could be a kid or adult or a loved one or whatnot. But she has quite the experiences. She's, let people come and live with her. I think that sometimes that causes things, people's energies, they leave their energies. And my cousin went to stay with her a couple of years ago, and then my cousin was telling her, "You got demons in here." She was like, "I can't sleep." She's like, "There's something wrong with this house." And my sister was like, "Yeah, the only demon is you. You're the one that's got, so." But that cousin does have a background, a very nasty background. So it's kind of like, yeah, I was taken back when I heard that she was saying that about her home, because I'm like, well, she's probably bringing stuff there. You're letting her stay there. And I was surprised that she actually let her go and spend the night there. But it was a tough situation. They didn't have a place to live, and it's family and, her kids, and it was temporarily. But, she talks about it a lot. And so,
Right.
it's not, I don't think that, she's the oldest out of us. And a lot of these things that were going on, she had already moved out of here by then. She got out of here a long time ago, like when she was 17. um,
I would be rebuking that for sure.
Yeah,
um,
I would too.
yeah. And for someone that I told her, I said, well, you pray all the time. I said, get up and go see. I said, we're on the phone with you. And she will. And I'm like, stop saying that it's a little boy and a little girl that's playing in there. I'm like, you need to start rebuking that in the name. And she was like, well, I do. And I said, but, she would be talking and then she would stop. And she was like, she was like, it's stuff moving in my kitchen. I can hear it right now. She was like, be quiet. So I'm like, well, we can't hear anything, but it's like literally we would be in a dead conversation, like how we're all talking. And then all of a sudden she'll just stop. And she was like, wait a minute, and she's got stuff going on, and she's at the house by herself.
And just by her doing that, she's acknowledging that demon just by even talking about it. So yeah, they'll keep doing stuff.
My daughter thought there was something in her heater closet in one house she was living in, and she was telling me about it. And I mean, as soon as she told me about it, I got up, I went to that closet, I opened that closet, and I started rebuking. I said, if there's anything in here, you leave in the name of Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was just going, I can't believe you did that. And I said, I'm not scared of it. We have the authority. Jesus gave us the authority.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yeah. Once we understand what these things are, yes, it's easy to get rid of them.
Yeah. Because
my uncle, he had something one time. He had a big pit bull dog, and this pit bull was huge. It was a big protector and everything. And he lived alone, and he had his bedroom and everything. And he was asleep one night, and said he woke up and his dog wasn't at the end of his bed. And he said, my dog always slept, at the end of my bed. So he said, I thought it was really strange. So he said, next thing I knew, my bed started shaking, like violently shaking. And he thought at first, earthquake. Because he didn't believe in paranormal stuff at all. He said, I thought it was an earthquake. So he said, I called my dog. I'm like, whistling at him. Come on, boy. And he said, my dog, is in the front room. He said, so here comes my dog, bebopping to the door. And then my dog stops and it starts growling and like snapping. And he said, I was like, what are you doing? It's me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I was hollering at my dog and the dog was snapping and having a fit. And he said, I was hollering at my dog. And then all of a sudden my dog stops. And he said, the dog starts like looking around. And he said, I'm like, come on. And he said, it's like the dog couldn't see me or hear me. He said, so I started pounding on the bed. Come on. And the dog came to the door and the door was open. He could see the dog. And the dog jumped up and it's like it was scratching on an invisible glass between the door and his bedroom. And he said his bed really started shaking really, really hard. And he said, I jumped up and the dog was jumping up on the door trying to get in, having a fit. And he said the next thing he knew, the bed stopped and then the dog just, all of a sudden it got loud and the dog came in.
Wow.
Like something was holding the dog back.
Yeah, he moved.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
I think we can sense those things because I was going to rent a house back whenever I was younger, whenever I first got married. And this lady had a house, and it was a really nice house. It was an A-frame house. It was out in the middle of nowhere. Out in the back was a big red barn. And she gave us the keys to the house to just go look at it. And whenever I walked in the front door of that house, I felt like the most evil presence I've ever felt. It was so bad. I couldn't even walk up the stairs to look at the bedrooms. I couldn't walk to the front. I just stopped. And I
Yeah.
looked at my wife then and I said, no, we can't stay here. And
Mm.
I left. I could just
Mhm.
I could just tell that place was full of something very strong and very evil.
Yeah, something
See,
like that place, but
Mhm.
they didn't want
and
nothing in there.
I
Yeah.
call that discernment,
Yes.
and that's like what you were talking about, Brittany, being sensitive to things.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I'm sensitive to those things. My daughter is, my son is. Uh, yeah. No, we're not mediums and talk to the
Uh,
dead or none of that. But we're sensitives.
Yeah.
For some reason, we're allowed to get the glimpse. I call them glimpses.
yeah, because it really is spiritual warfare too.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's it's so much more, and
Oh, I could just feel it. I mean, it was a terrifying feeling, like pure evil.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
later on, we found out like 10 years later, I didn't even know, but it was like 10 years later that there was a man and woman that lived there, and the guy killed his wife and kids and then killed himself.
oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
oh man,
So there's
that's
bad energy, and I do believe that bad energy hangs around when it is so bad. I mean, when it is extremely bad and there's tragedy, and I think it sticks. I
Well,
think,
the man was probably possessed by a demon, which made him do all that and then kill himself. And then that demon had no body to take care of, so it
See,
was stuck in that house.
that's
yeah.
exactly what I thought was whatever was in that
Hmm.
house took
Was
that man over and murdered them all. It
that,
caused them to kill them.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could believe that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I didn't want nothing to do with that place.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. You get that
And I,
heavy anxiety feeling as soon as you walk in.
Yeah, it was real heavy, real musky feeling.
Yeah.
mhm.
Just just like I couldn't breathe, and
Right.
Hmm.
I had that feeling like I was going to see something or something was going to touch me or just a real uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
Even like something was going to
Yeah,
jump out, just something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very uneasy. I couldn't have slept in there. There ain't no way.
Yeah. And
yeah,
kids,
Probably probably had the worst sleep paralysis you ever had.
probably. I I and I totally agree with you because last year, because I was having some updates done to the home here, and I was in a hotel. Not very many people know because I don't like to put my business out there.
Mm-mm.
People
right.
don't need to know you're away from your house.
Exactly.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, and I was in a hotel for probably about a month or two, and I was hating it. But I had my dog with me, and this will be short. Nothing like as extreme as you, Mike, but I was there for a long time, and I had one room that was there was like a sewer smell to it. But then I became really acquainted with the front desk lady. She was really sweet. She was actually allowing me to go check out the different floors of the hotel to see, what room I wanted to stay in, because I was going to be there for so long. And, the first floor, it was noisy. There was a bar. People were going out the door. I was close to the end and people were smoking cigarettes. I hate cigarettes. I could smell it coming. So whatever. But that one room on the third floor, and I will not forget it because it was room 315. That was the second room that I actually went in. I wanted a nice view. But that room, when I went in there, it was already clean. The bedroom light was on, the bathroom light was on, and the curtains were all closed. And I was just like, what the heck? I loved
Mm-hmm.
the view. The view was perfect. It was like, I was like, oh yeah, I want to stay in this room. Like you could see the pool, you could see, the mountaintops. It was beautiful. I loved it. But the more I stayed in there, it was a heavy feeling when I got towards, in the bedroom, because it was kind of like it kind of felt like a studio, like a 1-bedroom apartment, because the doors, there were double doors to the bedroom. And then you had like the living room area. There was a couch. There was a big space for me, kind of like a little suite.
Right.
But I felt really uncomfortable for some odd reason. And I was like, I mean, I had opened the curtains and opened the curtains. I was like, why did they leave I was like, if this was clean, I thought it was kind of strange. And I wanted to stay. And I actually even sat on the couch and I was like, oh, yeah, I think I want to stay here. It looks good. But I didn't feel comfortable. And I was like, this is the second room. And I didn't feel that in the other room. So I
Right.
was like, you know what? I can't stay in here, because it was more of a heavy feeling and it was uncomfortable for some odd reason. And I had checked 2 more rooms and then made my decision. And I went down and I told her, I said, is there something weird on, the 3rd floor in room 315? She was like, why would you ask that? And I'm like, because I went in there and I had told her about like the lights and all that, and then the curtains being open. I'm like, why was all the other, rooms, everything was open, like the curtains to the bedroom, to the little living room. She was like, I don't know. That's, no one's been in that room. But I told her how uncomfortable I felt. And the other girl looked at me and she was like, I had another guest tell me that like 2 weeks ago that stayed in that room. And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And I was just kind of baffled, because I'm like, was it just me? But again, I feel like I'm more sensitive, but I don't know why I felt that in that room. I loved it. I would have stayed, but it was just a heavy feeling. Yeah, I felt uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't think I can sleep in here. So
Right.
I said, you know what? Screw it. I'll just choose a different room. The third room I saw, it was on the same floor, but I was like, I'm just gonna go to this. I didn't even want to stay anywhere near that, because it was actually 317 and it was a little bit further down. But I was like, I don't think I want to stay on this floor at all. Just go on the second floor and go with my
Right.
first choice, from the first. So anyway, um, and you just reminded me of that, Mike. And I don't know if anything happened, or maybe somebody was staying there that had demons or bad energy, or you never know. So many people stay
Yeah.
at hotels and motels, and you have those residual, I don't know, hauntings, but it was just odd. And so it
Yeah.
was odd that I felt that way in that room, but I didn't feel that way in the other room. So, and then, like I said, the other girl, she kind of confirmed, she was like, I had a guest tell me that, so I knew, I'm like, I'm not crazy then. And she
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that's weird that you're saying that.
Or
But that's so,
you turn out your light to go to sleep and you see 2 little twin girls standing there in dresses and
oh God,
red run.
Yeah,
no.
I always believe you did right, Brittany, because I believe you go with your gut.
Yeah,
That your God given senses. Yeah. Take
pray.
heed of what they're telling you. Yeah.
And pray over, and I pray over
Hmm.
I get happy when I see the Bible, but I take my Bible with me too. I
Hmm.
think I'm a firm believer of praying wherever you go, wherever you stay, because prayer does changes things and it works. And I think that,
Oh, yeah.
for folks that are, you get an apartment or trying to find a house, and even when you do move in, you should pray, because, I mean, like I
Right.
said, there's countless times where my sister's been in a location, there's something,
Right.
and again, I don't think it's anything that's following her. I just think that it's very true. We are around energy, spirits. I
Yes.
Right.
mean, they're
Right.
roaming. But some of us are just a little more sensitive. And I don't know if
Sensitive.
people that are, I don't want to say naive or just ignorant, because I got people that, well, I never seen it, so I find it hard to believe, or they're just skeptics, And then you get a
Right.
skeptic that's turned into a believer, and it's like, I told you. I'd be like, you gonna
Yeah.
believe it when you go to hell. I'm just like,
Yeah.
but it's
You
to
know,
each its own.
like this year, one of my goals is if I raise enough money and everything and get Hunter took care of and everything, what I would like to do is I would like to do a video with the Crescent Moon Hotel and go live from there on like Halloween night, and get Scott to sleep down there in the basement on the
Oh gosh.
in the morgue.
Yep.
No, no.
Scott volunteers.
You know, I just don't think I could sleep on an embalming bed in an embalming room.
No, I'm not doing that.
That reminds me of a haunting in Connecticut. Ugh.
I
Hey, I'll
remember
tell you
that.
all a story. Let me tell you a story about that. That movie. Oh my God. Okay. Not the movie, the documentary to that. A guy I worked with, an officer, he said, "You've got to see that. You've got to see that." And I was like, I don't know, man, because the movie, you know, at the mall, you get calls of fights and stuff in the movies, and we'd have to go in there, and I'd see like bits and pieces of that movie, and I was like, that's an evil movie. It gave me a really bad feeling. Well, they kept on and on saying, you need to see the documentary. So I ended up getting the documentary. And I was laying in bed one night, and I waited, you know, for the kids to go to sleep to watch it. And I put it in, and I'm sitting there listening. And of course, it starts out, you know, the priest goes over to see if they have a true haunting, and then if they did, you know, the guy would come to do the I guess the exorcism to get rid of it. And the family is sleeping in the front room, and they have a video camera in there to capture what's going on. Well, they're all sleeping in the front room on mattresses, I guess, because they're afraid to sleep alone. And these mattresses start breathing.
Yep.
Lifting everybody up and down. And I was like, what the hell? And they showed the demon guy coming up the steps, and the shadow, it was in the embalming room. And my little boy sat up out of a dead sleep. Me and my ex were watching it, and started talking really weird, just sat straight up. And we couldn't even understand him. I grabbed that disc and I threw it as far out in the pasture as I could and rebuked it. I would never watch that.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah. That was pretty terrifying.
I think I remember that movie, but I don't think I've seen a documentary. I know that there are a couple of documentaries and things like that to where I do like watching because, again, there I am. I've had so many experiences. These are people telling their stories and validation. They're not crazy. I believe them, you know. But I will say, and I've got a video, and I'll have to pull it up too, about the dogs. You know, you guys are telling your stories about the dogs. The little Shih Tzu that I have here, I can tell you a story about this. Before I started working from home, I would work, whatever. I worked out in the field and in a building, whatever. There was a time where I was getting ready for work, and I was standing in the hall, and I was, taking my selfies and all that. My mom was asleep. I was. And so my Shih Tzu, he's 4. So he was little. And at this time we had, again, a little board or whatever to keep him from the living room because I was trying to potty train him. Number one, I didn't want a dog, but my mom, we had a dog that I had to put down, one that passed away before. So it was a hard time. And I'm like, I don't want any more dogs right now. But I was in the hall and I was in her room. She was asleep. I was by her room and I was, again, taking selfies, looking at myself in the mirror like, you look good, girl, type of thing. And all of a sudden I hear him, and dogs bark. Again, he barks at everything when somebody's outside. He's barking and he's growling, but he's being very obnoxious. And so much that my mom was like, what's wrong with that damn dog? Excuse my language. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, Lucky, shut up. So I kind of stepped forward to look because I hear him, but he's standing in front of our bathroom and he's looking toward the living room where I'm at. And he's barking here. But there's about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps from the living room. He's barking like he's looking at something. And I didn't think anything. I'm like, shut up, boy. And I go back and I'm like looking in the mirror again. But he starts growling like, he's 2. He's 2. He's a puppy baby at this point. I start to think, okay, wait a minute. What the hell is he barking at? Like something's wrong. So I actually get my phone and I start recording him because he's just going crazy, but he's growling. And I actually told, I was like, you know what, Mom, I don't know what he's looking at, but he sees something in the living room because he was freaking the hell out. I mean, he was growling and barking like there was something there. And when I stepped towards it, he wouldn't come. So
Right.
I'm getting chills because it was crazy. And I have it recorded with him barking. It actually went on for about maybe 5 or 7 minutes. But I didn't think to record until probably about, I don't know, he might have been barking for 5 minutes at that time, but I do have it. And there was nothing there. Again, it was just me and my mom. But when I moved the board out and I'm standing here and I'm looking and I'm like, come here, he would not come with me. So then I started saying, you're not welcome here. If you're not, that's when I started saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, leave. And I opened the door and I'm like, get out of here, you foul demon. Like I started to think he sees something because I'm his master and he doesn't want to come with me. I'm in the living room right here standing and he will not come.
Right.
So if he's barking at somebody outside, like he would be doing, and I hear a car or another dog barking, he would have came with me because he
Right.
follows me everywhere. He would not come. So
Yeah.
I'm a firm, we talked about this the last time. I'm a firm believer of dogs seeing things. I've, I've prayed over the past couple of years in here, just because there were things. It was also to the point to where when my mom passed, I felt like my dog was in danger here because he would always be under the bed. He wouldn't come away from under the bed. He would literally wait, and I could see him because I got cameras in here, like I said. And I'm like, why doesn't he ever come out?
Right.
So I started feeling like something was bothering him, and I would be praying to my sister, she was like, get that blessed oil, pray over him. Because again, I don't care what nobody says. Animals, your dogs can be attacked too.
That's
Your
right.
dogs can
Yeah.
get
Sure.
possessed.
Yeah.
And I was like, you better leave my dog alone. So I started feeling bad leaving him here at home alone. Like something's bothering my baby.
Yeah.
And there's
Yep.
nothing, and I was feeling sorry for him. And this was again when he was like 3, when he got a little older. But that's what happened. And I will try to find that video and I'll send it to you. I might have to shorten it, Mike, but I'm willing to send it to you so you can see. I don't know. I don't mind you posting it, maybe. But I do have video of him barking and going crazy at nothing. So
Did
Yeah.
there you have it.
I do have some questions about that.
Yeah.
Did the dog ever did your dog ever get hurt?
All right, so this is going to sound really crazy, and you guys are probably going to think that I'm a conspiracy theorist. So I have Facebook. I deactivate my Facebook a lot, but I don't post my dog on Facebook. I feel like every time that I don't know, I think I've got maybe enemies and people that are against me that maybe dabble into witchcraft or voodoo or try to take your pictures and wish bad on you.
There ain't no maybes. Trust me, they're out there, 100%.
And there's a reason for that. Every time I've ever posted anything or anything that was kind of good, so I felt like something bad happened to me. So I had posted my dog on Facebook 2 times. One time he got a poker in his eye, and I didn't know. He went blind actually in one eye, and they didn't know why. It scratched the coronary or whatever it is, but they couldn't find anything. This was one day before I was set to go to San Francisco on a friend's trip. In the morning, his eye was just, so I literally had to rush to a vet before my flight. It was awful. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to go, but whatever. So that happened to him. He regained his sight. Okay.
Wow.
And so let me back it up a little bit. Another time I had posted a video or whatever. When I paid off my car, I was very happy about it. I was like, I'm so happy I paid off my car. I had a little song on there. I posted on Instagram. I posted on my Snapchat. I never have a problem. But it actually went to my Facebook. I know it sounds stupid. 2 days later, my car went. my damn starter went out of my car that I just paid off. So there's that. And I was like, you know what? I feel like somebody's against me. I also have a family member that was taking pictures of me and I didn't know it. And every time I turned around, this family member dabbles into voodoo. I probably shouldn't be saying it. It's a lot. So I don't post him. So when I say maybe you can post him on YouTube, that is because every time I've ever let it slip or posted my dog on my story, he's gotten hurt. The last time we got attacked by 2 pit bulls. So I will never post him on my Facebook. I never have an issue when I post him on my Instagram, like Doggy's Day or whatever, or we're walking. It was only when he was on my freaking Facebook. And I was like, and I had like 1,000 followers, and I started going through my list and taking people off I was like, somebody's out to get me, because there's something. I know it sounds stupid.
No.
But
No.
I've learned to keep certain things to myself, and I protect him. I mean, one time my sister accidentally posted a picture that we took together, and I was like, take him down. And she was like, oh, I forgot. I was like, tag me out of that post. Like, I was mad.
Yeah.
Because, and I prayed about it, and I was like, God, convict my heart or give me discernment. If I'm wrong, I was like, there is something wrong here. And I'm like, I also thought maybe I'm putting it out there. Maybe I'm causing things to happen, or I'm, putting things into existence. But I tell you, I don't do it. I mean, I haven't even shared other things on that platform, because I really do feel like every time I do on Facebook, something happens.
Oh, trust me. There's wackos out there. One of them used to work. Well, a few of them did, but used to work for me. One was so bad that he tried to eat the family dog right in front of the family. So, I mean,
he bed it.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually believed that he was a werewolf and picked up the family dog in front of the kids, the wife, and everything, and started gnawing on it.
Oh my God.
The dog was screaming, and then he threw it against the wall. Another one thinks he's a warlock, and he was contacting witches and saying that they had past life marriages, and he had killed her in a past life, and they're back together now. And
God,
gosh.
And you talk about people taking pictures of you. I know all about that. I mean,
people can take your picture and put curses against you.
When I say things like that, people act like I'm crazy, and I'm like, I'm not crazy. No. Because I feel like somebody has tried to do stuff, and I pray against it. That this guy, and I promise you, I know he dabbles into that. We took a picture together, and I feel like he's got a demonic altar against me, and I don't care what nobody says. People can do that. They say, it's because if you believe in it, that's when. That is not true. It's in the Bible. Like it. Come on, like let's talk about Deuteronomy. Come on, it's the same thing with people going to these mediums and psychics, and they're talking to my loved ones. No, they're talking to familiar spirits. They are not talking to your mom or your dad or your sister. Like and I know that for a fact. These people. And they're like, well, they're Christian. They believe in God. You know how many Christian or medium people that have actually turned and repented from that and said, I was wrong. I didn't realize I was talking to demons. I'm not, you know what I mean? That had to turn their life around. Like, you're not. And I'm like, I've got people that want me to go. And I'm like, I'm not going to that. Like, you call yourself a Christian? No, you need to go and read your Bible. Because you should not be going to see no psychic.
No.
Or no medium.
Horoscope, anything.
No. At all.
Just last night, there's a podcaster that says that he's a Christian. But then he says that the Bible's not true. It's not the word of God. Da, 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 da. I was watching him last night, and he added to his blasphemous mouth of what he's been saying. And now you know what he says? That David did not kill Goliath. That's a lie in the Bible.
Mm.
Oh, David and Goliath.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
the guy that you won't listen to.
that
Yeah.
person needs to rewrite the Bible.
Well, I think he's slowly doing it
Hmm.
in his own words.
Yeah.
And he's got a podcast, yeah. And if people believe that, and if
He's going to be held accountable.
that's what,
Sure.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because that's just like these false prophets out there. That's just like these pastors that are watering down the word. You know, it's like you don't realize that you're actually leading people in your congregation down a road to go to hell, because you're pretty much
Well,
giving them the excuse that, well, God does forgive us for our sin, but nothing can separate us from the love of God, but it's sin. And then you get people that say, God doesn't send you to hell. Well, sin does though.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
got
this
people that
guy,
go to church, but your spirit's not getting fed. I don't want to go to a church where they're watering it down. You're not teaching the gospel. I don't want any of that, because you're wrong. I'm sorry. When I go to church and I haven't been in a while, I want to feel convicted in my spirit, because you know what? I am a sinner. I'm not perfect.
Sure we are.
I know
Yeah.
God is talking to me and speaking to me. So I want to be put in my place. And some of these churches, that's not what happens. You got people that don't even feel led to make a change. Like, how do you go to church every Saturday or Sunday and you're still evil, mean, and wicked, and you're still out here doing all this stuff that's not
Christian.
Christian like you know
Right.
what I mean? It's I don't know. I know we're
Well,
kind of
this
getting into
guy,
something else, but
he
what
has,
I've always
he
said
has
is I don't care what church you go to. That church, that building is not getting you to heaven,
No.
it's not.
because it's your personal relationship with
Yeah.
Jesus. It's not that church,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's not that preacher.
Nope.
No.
It's within you.
Yep.
you know, you know, he has such, and I'm going to say that he has a legion in him, not one demon, because of how
Legion of
dark.
men.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because how dark he is. But he has a demon of confusion for sure. Because I mean, he was in a parking lot thinking he was in a pumpkin patch, and then he goes over and he starts fighting a tree, and I mean, and then his buddy the other night, which I call him the Red Circle King, he's on his channel, and he says, "Oh, I'm just here preaching the word of God and blah 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 blah, and the only way you're going to get to heaven, guys, is by your works." I got news for you.
That's
You
not
will
true.
never do good enough to go to heaven
That's not,
with Jesus
Nope.
Christ.
No.
You will
there's a
never.
lot of people that think that. That's man.
But he also refers to himself in first and second person too. He has alternate egos that he has conversations with while he's on there, and that's a true story. And
Yeah.
he took a picture of a guy standing in the trees of another guy taking pictures and said he found a demon. So I don't know.
You can see the tripod.
Yeah,
God.
we're going to send him to Scott's house.
No. No.
You'll have
Oh my
red
God.
circles all over your bed.
We're sending Sybil to Scott's house.
No.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Scott will go
No.
home and have
Thank
red
you.
circles all over his house.
I done got rid of my demons. I don't need more coming back.
Oh, but you're so good at it, you can get rid of these.
Well, yeah. My God will make them leave. I guarantee you.
Absolutely.
That's
I have no fear of them.
I used to didn't believe in the. Now I got to be careful how I say this because I don't want people to think I'm contradicting what I believe. I used to did not believe in the aliens and the aircraft and those sort of things
Mm-hmm.
But now, what I will say is, I do believe that the aliens are demons. That way, I don't get everybody confused.
Fallen
But
angels.
Fallen
Yes.
angels, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been seeing things within probably the past 2 years in the sky that I know are not normal. Not
Yeah,
Oh
I've,
like,
yeah. Oh yeah, I
yeah,
believe
yeah, and
that.
I've seen the same things you have, Mike, for longer than that. I'm talking 35, 40 years. I've seen them up there.
this really bothered me. I was
Hmm.
outside, and to the northeast of our house, there's nothing over there. I live in the middle of cattle country in the country. And I was on the phone actually one night, and I was just talking. And I wasn't looking for anything. I was just visiting on the phone. And I happened to look over in the northeast sky, probably about 30 degrees off the horizon, and I noticed there's these lights, and it's kind of like they're going in a circle, like they're all following each other. And I'm like, what is that? So I start paying attention to it, and then they start like fading out, and then they'll
Mm-hmm.
fade back in, and then they start chasing each other, moving in weird directions. And they
Hmm.
done it for like 3 nights, and then I went out like on the fourth night, and they were gone. And I was like, that's really weird. But I happened to look to the northwest about 30 degrees, and there they are again.
Mm.
And I mean, some of them get like really, really well, they get bright enough that you can see the clouds around them if there's clouds.
Wow.
And I don't. I'm going to film it for everybody with my IR. That's my goal.
That'd be
But
cool.
you know, we're going to have a show coming up. We're going to have to really work on it. I want to take a dive into UFOs, UAPs. What are they really? And I know
Hmm.
that that's going to be something we're really going to have to put a lot of time and work into. That's not going to be something we can just put out, because I want that to be a very in depth, eye opening show. I want to open people's eyes. Well, to people that have eyes to see and ears to hear, people that are
Hmm.
willing to listen and to see. And
Yeah.
I think there could be a lot of truth told in that kind of a story, because
Mm-hmm.
there is some things. I mean, at my grandpa's, back in the probably the 90s or the 80s, maybe. Probably no, probably it would have been the 90s when all the crop circles were going around. He had one of those happen in his hog pasture in the middle of his pond in the middle of the cattails. It was a perfect circle that had happened, and it happened overnight. And we went down there, me and my cousins and my grandpa and everybody, looking at it, and everything in that circle was laying perfectly down in that circle.
Hmm.
And it was really weird. And and I still at the time I was like, Grandpa, there ain't no aliens landing out here. And Grandpa's like, well, it ain't no aliens, but what done this? Something done it overnight, and it was perfect. I mean, it was a perfect circle.
Hmm.
And the in the hog pasture, it's mud. I mean,
Right.
there was no tracks, no nothing. It's like something came down, made that circle, and left. It was
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah, and those crop circles do complicated geometric symbols and just weird stuff.
They say Bigfoot drives them. I've heard that. They
I
say
did
Bigfoot.
hear I did hear of a story that a man was abducted and he was a grown man and he talked about his experience aboard the UFO and he said that there was a Bigfoot walking around in there. So, but I don't know. That's
Wasn't
what that man said.
wasn't the movie Fire in the Sky? Isn't that based off a true story?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is here in
Hmm.
Arizona.
Really? I own that movie. I bought it. I haven't watched it, but I own it.
I got it too. You should watch it. And
Yeah,
they've
it's
It,
got
good.
it's a good
they've
movie.
got, and they've got a documentary with the actual guy. I believe it's on Paranormal Witnesses. I think
Hmm.
he's featured on that, and he might be featured on another one. I was really
Hmm.
addicted to that movie.
Yeah.
Is it?
My,
Is it?
my
I
favorite movie is Signs. I love that movie.
oh Yeah, that movie is actually really creepy to me, even if I watch it today.
M. Night Shyamalan is one of my favorite directors.
Yeah.
Is it better than Bone Tomahawk?
I am not watching Bone Tomahawk.
I don't know what that is. So.
You don't want to
You don't want to
know.
know.
Oh
Brittany,
God.
it is a very, very good movie. I've tried to get Scott and Brooks to watch it. It's a Western movie.
Bone
And
Tomahawks. I don't know.
These guys are dealing with a Indian tribe that is a different kind of tribe altogether than what they are used to dealing with. And they can make like different noises with their throat and stuff. And they use animal parts for weapons.
Mm-mm.
And they're cannibalistic. So you should watch it.
No, you don't. No, Brittany, don't listen to
Hey,
me.
it has Kurt Russell in it.
Yeah, it's got Kurt Russell in it.
I like Western movies, but I don't know. Bone Tomahawk.
Uh-huh.
There's another movie that. Oh, go ahead. I can't think of the name. The little newer.
It's a good bedtime movie. Just kick it on, grab some popcorn.
No.
Not by myself, I don't think.
No.
Well, it's not monsters. It's actual real people.
Yeah.
It sounds like the Indian tribe is inbred. Sort of like Wrong Turn.
Yeah, they
the Wrong Turn. Yeah, but stuff like that really happened. They're cannibalism. I mean, that's.
It's a Hills Have Eyes movie. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't.
I didn't like that movie. That kind of messed with me a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
See, when I worked at that video store, I was telling Mike, I said I started to work years ago at a video store when the VHSs came out. You know, we had like 50 to start with. It was brand new. VCRs were new. By the time I left, we had like 10,000 movies. I worked there several years, and that was part of my requirement. I had to watch movies. I mean, I was having to take home 2 and 3 movies a night during the week to watch them, and then the weekends I had to have I had about 10, because I had to be able to tell the people what it was about. You know, can kids watch it? You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know the Jeffrey Dahmer series, that came out that was free to watch? Did you know people that was watching that was having activity in their home?
That's why I didn't watch it.
My daughter was watching it, Kaylee, and my sister Sarah, and they started having stuff happen in their house. I'm pretty sure they got possessed, but they had stuff happening in the house.
Brooks, get him in line.
Okay, Mike.
You're laughing.
It's just an observation, an opinion, but
that's your opinion. Yeah.
No, I'm sticking to it. But a lot of people did report having activity, and I watched a little bit of it. I thought it was pretty boring because I was into law enforcement all my life, so I've already read all the police reports on it and the documentaries. I read all that because they teach you whenever you're in school that a criminal, and it does happen, but very seldom will a criminal deviate from their MO. They will pretty much stay right with how they operate. There has been a few over time, like Jack the Ripper, and a few that they think were actually very, very smart that would deviate, and that's why they were never supposedly caught. Some people think that he was caught. Some people think they know who he was, but they most of the time they will exhibit the same method, the same thing. And the neighbor that was next door to Jeffrey Dahmer, she kept saying, "Ew, what is that grotesque smell in your room? It's so sickening, it makes me sick," And he's like, "Oh, well, My mom then brought some bad pork chops over, and I forgot to throw them away. Well, what they don't know, he's got bodies in there digesting an acid in barrels, you know. So there's some really weird stuff out there for sure. And
I don't like watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I will say that I didn't watch that documentary because, you know, that movie Zodiac that came out a long time ago?
Oh yeah.
That movie, and I saw it in theaters. I don't know what it was, but that movie freaked me out so bad that I felt like I was really affected by it. It scared me. And
That
so
was
I do believe that people, with that Jeffrey Dahmer case, I didn't want to watch it because I did hear that, but I also went to school for criminal justice, and I wrote a report on Richard Ramirez. He was a night stalker in California, but even after that, and again, I was in college, you know, I got my associates and all that. I don't know what it was, but you know, when I was doing my research and then whatever, I did my paper and all that, I was really uncomfortable and disturbed after reading about that, you know, and the things he did and just the crimes he committed. So I truly believe that, again, you know, sometimes we open up doors, or I think that stuff can come through. I don't care what nobody says. I mean, remember that movie White Noise? Like, I think that you can kind of get possessed because there's also old stories about people when the exorcism come out. People were, you know, in the theaters back then, and people were getting sick. Like, I don't think we realize that Hollywood, some of these people, like when they made The Craft again, they had real witches. They got real evil people and people who are witches and warlocks and stuff that are behind these movies and putting spells out there. It's the same with secular music. People don't realize that there's so much more. And again, I'm probably getting into, call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't care. I know because I've experienced so much. And like I said, the more I learn and teach myself and just, you know, read the word. And
well, it's hard to believe people can be so evil.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching the Lori Vallow and the Chad Daybell trial. I mean, you know, I've been following that for 4 years, and you know, she got life, and now they're having Chad's trial. And what they did to his wife, to Charles, but what they did to those two kids,
I can't watch it. I turn it off because it's sickening.
Horrific.
She's got a smile on her face. I'm like, you know,
and they do believe. I mean, they can't prove it, but they believe they buried that little 7-year-old boy alive, wrapped in plastic, in his mouth duct tape.
You know,
I don't know. When we was working at the mall, y'all are talking about, you know, movies affecting people. We were on patrol, and we was at the mall, and they was having a movie night. Of course, the movies were open every night, but all the kids all of a sudden start running out of the movies, and some are vomiting, some are crying. They're on their phones with their mom and dads. Adults are requesting their money back. It was hell for about probably an hour. And come to find out, finally, after we investigated what had happened and everything, the movie they was watching was called Drag Me to Hell. And this lady, evidently, I ain't watched it, but they said they said she lost her teeth and she started chewing on somebody or something. And everybody in there, even one lady said that she got possessed, and another lady said that she was like seeing things, and after the movie, it was bad. I never watched that movie.
I've
I
watched
don't like
that movie.
stuff like that. I don't like movies like that.
You watched it?
I've watched that movie probably maybe 3 times, and I shouldn't have. That movie, it is like, I don't know what it is. but it did do something to me to where I was like terrified. There's a part in there where they've got that again, that damn demon goat with whatever the goat that it's don't watch it. I honestly, I'm kind of baffled that you're saying that happened with that movie, Mike, because for some odd reason, that movie does do some. I felt like that movie did something to me. It really affected me, and I won't watch it again. I
Well,
watched it in theaters too, and then I've watched it at home years ago. But when it comes on TV, I will not watch it again because there is something spiritual behind that movie. And I truly believe that it was affecting those kids and those people. I'm getting the chills because
Oh, they were throwing up in the
oh
floor
my God.
and screaming and
and,
crying.
and Brittany watched it 3 times.
Yeah,
I
Three
watched
times
it
the
with
charge.
somebody. I know. I watched it with somebody in the theater. And then, when because again, remember I said we grew up watching scary movies,
Right.
but that was years ago. But over the past, I will say 7 years, like I said, I have been educating myself and it's become more and more. And even with the other videos or, shows, and because I'm so intrigued, like these people have experienced things, I have to stop because I will tell you that Paranormal Caught on Camera show, there was an episode that actually had a lady that watched that show that actually said, people were telling me to stop watching this show because you'll start having activity. She made a video to where she started experiencing things and she never had it. But it's very true because when some things would start to happen, my sister would tell me, have you been watching those? And I'm like, actually, I haven't. So I really am a firm believer. It is very true. I
Yeah.
knew, this was years back with the pastor saying that, and the older I have gotten and more wiser, like I'm 36, it's very true. I mean, but I was addicted to scary movies and the exorcism of Emily Rose. I won't watch stuff like that. I can't anymore. My brother won't. He stopped because it does. I don't care. I think it comes through the TV. I don't that sounds stupid, but it's not because
no, I
again,
believe it.
there is so
I
much
believe it.
Yeah.
spiritual behind it. So that
Well,
dragged me to hell. Don't watch it.
And
See,
just so
that's
everybody
what.
Don't
knows, we do not
don't
endorse
do it.
or recommend you all
it
watching
was
these
so
movies.
bad I watched it three
Uh-uh.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stop it.
it's at your own risk.
The first time I watched it, I was just scared. The
Oh
second
Lord.
time, whatever. But the third
Right.
time, I was like, oh, because it's old. I
Yeah.
don't even know when it was made, but I watched it. It freaked me out. But again,
You
I'm here at home. It's when I watched it at my house is where I felt like it affected me.
Yeah.
Not in
Yeah.
the theater.
we
Yeah.
thought there was a stabbing or something like that going on because the reaction to the crowd was total panic. I mean, they were vomiting, they were
That's
screaming, they were
crazy.
bawling, they were running over each other trying to get out
Yeah.
of there. And
I'm
all
wondering
they
what
kept,
part.
it was the part about the teeth. Oh, that's what everybody
Oh,
kept
the
saying.
teeth.
She didn't have
Yeah,
no
Yeah.
that
teeth.
teeth was creep. It is a creepy scene.
And she started chewing on that guy with no teeth. And I don't know. I didn't watch it, but
I honestly
Uh-uh.
think that everything in that movie, I think it's real and it could have happened. And that is basically that woman, that girl that lady ended up cursing her. Oh, I'm getting the chills. I gotta pray after this because
so what? So was there a lady with no teeth?
she was an older lady that I don't want to say she was a gypsy, but she reminded me of a gypsy. Basically she was gonna lose her house. The girl, she was like a banker. The lady begged her, please give me an extension on my house. And then this girl was trying to get a promotion at work. Went to her boss and said, listen, I really want to help. Da, da, da. So her boss was like, if you want to get to this level, you're going to have to say no. So she was basically battling in her spirit to help this woman. I feel for her. I want to give her an exception. But then she told her no because her boss, she was trying to get that promotion. So she basically fought against, I say, the Holy Spirit. You want to do what's right if you can. She could have given her an extension. And after that, that lady, she got mad. She was an older lady. She looked like an old witch. Whatever she did, she cursed her because she got on her knees and begged her, I beg you, please. And she still told her no. And then I forget what she did, but she put a curse or she did something to her. And then after that, when she left the banking, all kinds of things started happening to her. I mean, she started seeing things. She couldn't sleep. I mean, she just had started having demonic activity in her life. I mean, she was basically cursed. And I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Thinner.
Mm-mm.
You never seen Thinner? That's another movie, man. That's another classic, boy.
No.
but
I watched the real classics. I like the 50s,
Thinner.
early 60s, like
Yeah.
them about the giant ants, or The Day the Earth Stood Still, or War of the Worlds. I like the old classics.
Yeah. If you're bold, watch it. Pray before or after. I think.
So did a lady chew on another lady? Because everybody said she was chewing on her.
It's like she had false teeth or something that started coming out of her mouth. Like, it was weird. She was chewing. I don't remember if it was on a person, but she was chewing and then her teeth started to fall out. So if that's the part that got people freaked out, I'm surprised, because that wasn't the part. This lady went to a medium. She went to a person to, get her hand read. She didn't know what was happening to her. She was at dinner with her boyfriend, and it's like she was seeing visions of stuff that wasn't there. So yeah, it's been a while. That movie's old, and it's probably been maybe 6 years since I've seen it. It's been a long time, because I was like, I'm not watching it again. But there is a part in there about the teeth falling out, and I don't want to look it up, but you can look it up on YouTube, I'm quite sure, and say, drag me to hell teeth scene, and I bet you it'll come up.
Yeah.
But I don't
you
know
go
if you
watch it, Mike.
I
have at it.
If you watch the Jeffrey Dahmer, you might as well just watch that. Come on, Jeffrey Dahmer was a real.
I never even watched it after we had to do the reports on it. I just done the reports because I figured if it's that bad, because we had another lady tell us that she was possessed, and I've never seen this movie either, but she said she was watching the movie 13 Ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a creepy movie. Yeah. My sister was obsessed with that movie back then. That's a little creepy.
What's that picture of?
I see. I remember the 13, the original 13 Ghosts.
That's her. Oh, stop.
That's terrible. I don't watch crap like that. I don't.
Yeah, that movie reminded me of the Thinner movie. If you look at the Thinner movie again, that man, a curse was put on him by some gypsies. That one is not too scary, but it is creepy because it, back then it made me think like, oh, is this, can that really happen? But, I was in my, teens watching stuff like that again. And who knows, maybe because we grew up watching stuff, that's why we've had, but I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that because I'm an adult and, I've still experienced things the past 3 years.
What about the movie, The Shining?
Oh, yeah.
I heard that was supposed to be a true story.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's an old classic. Yeah, that's.
I want to drink some red rum.
Yeah. I went to Washington and visited my cousin, and they took me up to Mount Hood, which Mount Hood has the lodge and a ski run there. And I'm sitting there walking up to that place, and I'm walking with my cousin-in-law, and I'm going, man, this place really looks familiar. And he said, well, what do you mean? He said, you've never been here. And I said, no, and then it dawned on me. I said, it's The Shining. I said, did they film The Shining here? And he said, well, I don't know. And we walk in the doors and they had all this stuff for The Shining.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear
Yep.
Brittany on my last boots on the ground? The thing say "Mama" in my video.
Yes.
No, I might have not gotten around to it. When did you go on Boots on the Ground? Because I've been.
You're lucky because I happen to have the clip still on here that I can play for you.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
it is.
So, are you ready?
Oh yeah. 'Cause
Did you hear it?
no.
Said Mama.
It's
Here,
right.
I'll do it again.
I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it. It sounds like Mama. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
female voice. It's like a female girl voice.
How?
Now you want to hear? You want to hear something even worse? After that happened, I went back to my vehicle and I was leaving. So I have a hat that I keep the GoPro on top of, so my hands are free. So I
Mhm.
had turned off the GoPro and was loading everything into the back of my Durango. I had the lid up, and something behind me says "Mama," but it's not like the kid. This is like a animalistic sound. It screams like I've never heard anything scream. It laughs at me after it screams because it did scare me, and it starts laughing this weird, evil, damn laugh. So I turned around because I still had my IR camera around my neck on the strap, and I just started taking pictures. This is what I caught.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. God,
Yeah.
Lord. Oof.
Can you put a red circle around it? I can't see it.
I told you about going out there by yourself.
Let me,
That's
let me tell
scary.
you,
I'm
I've never
actually,
seen this. I've
I'm
never
going
seen
back.
Mike scared at all. But he was terrified after that.
Yeah, he was. He was scared.
Yeah,
So you took the
that
yeah,
scared me.
you took camera. Well, and see, hearing that, like what you're saying, and then you're out there in the dark, and that's I don't know, man. I probably would have been.
I
Oh,
mean, did you hear his
Yeah.
breathing? How heavy he was breathing before that thing
Mm-hmm.
said "Mama"?
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
did. I
you could
did
tell
hear that.
he was trying to breathe. That something was going on.
Oof.
Yeah. And yeah, we told him too, like when he was putting his stuff up, you leave one of them
Keep a
running.
recorder going or
Yeah.
something
See,
running because
yeah.
that would have
Oh
been
my
crazy
God.
to have on evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back.
Oh, that's so creepy.
But
Oh
And
my
I told Brooks and I told Scott, I said it's going to be a while. It's going to take me some time because that really messed with me down there. But
Yeah.
hell yeah.
I'll gather myself and I'll go back.
Oh,
It'll probably be alone again because I can't seem to get anybody to go. But
what
yeah,
was it?
I'll
Scott.
go.
Yeah. We did a drawing and you won, Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany, you're the winner.
You
Come
are the
on,
winner.
man,
She,
Arizona, man.
yeah, see, Brittany, you're the
Brooks,
furthest away from all of us.
I'll go
Yeah,
pick you up, Brooks. Come on.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, swing through, pick me up. We'll go to
You're, you're,
Oklahoma.
you're the you're the winner, demon hunter.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna
Is
put on the full armor, man.
that the same
Absolutely.
place? Is that the same place that you had the little black things running around and all that? Wasn't that the same? So it's a
Yeah.
lot of demonic plus cryptid
Oh,
happening
that's
in there.
scary.
Uh, the marker thing that I found, I don't have that on here, but I've never found anything like that either.
I think that's a warning for you to stay out of that area.
Yeah. Either that or a welcome
What is it going
sign.
to take? I know.
Well, there was three sticks in the ground, and then there was a stick across them that was balanced, and then there was like a weird weed stuck in it, and on the ground there was like symbols drawn in the dirt in front of it, and it faced the sand. And I walked over and picked it up and looked at it, but
Mama.
yeah.
That's
What I should have done is probably tore it down. It's probably what I should have done. And like took my foot.
You might not have ever made it back out of there if you'd done that. I mean, that thing was pretty close to you when you snapped that picture.
Yeah, probably. I would guess within 30 to 40 yards, probably.
Well, then you said it started laughing. That's so creepy. That picture's, man.
Yeah, I think of the laugh is the most creepiest thing that they can do is the laugh.
Ugh.
Do y'all remember that crazy? Do y'all remember that crazy laugh that I caught that one time? Whenever I went out on, I think it was like a blood moon or something, and we got that crazy laugh.
I think I do.
I don't know what the hell that was. It might have been this thing. I don't know. I told my friend, I said I should have took my cigarette lighter and lit that weed on that thing and burn it. Say Scott told me to.
You should have left your phone number on there. Maybe it would have called you. Who is this? Mama.
Scott said to do this. Here's his address. Go see.
Who is this? Mama.
Maybe I should go down there next time and do what they say to do on the Crybaby Creek. Maybe I should yell and say, "I have your baby."
Don't do that.
No.
Have you heard?
You don't have to do much because
I have heard that.
They seem to be very active without doing anything.
That spot, Brittany, also, I was down there one night, and I had little black things materializing around me out of the ground. It's on video. You can see it.
Oh, I believe you. My sister has seen some stuff like that before out of the street when she was, I don't know where she was, but she mentioned like, that's crazy. And see, they know that you're you better stop going down there. Well, you better. They know you're coming.
I have to do the boots on the ground because, I mean, if I don't, then all I am is just a storyteller.
Right.
And, you know, I got to get from behind the desk because if I don't, then I'm going to end up start buying gold necklaces and all kinds of stuff. And
hey, that boots on the ground, you also whistled and it repeated your whistle back, right?
Yeah. I remember that part. That was a different night, but
that was something really weird because it did it exactly the same way he did it back to him.
Yeah.
And he said there's one way in, one way out, that there's no way nobody followed him. He would just see him coming.
I need to go down there during the daylight in and dark out on that so I can show everybody how I know there's nobody there.
Yeah, and take a picture of where that take pictures right around there where you captured that image to see if you can see anything.
You know, I almost didn't even go back and take pictures of that marker like I promised. I was scared. I told everybody, I said, I'll go take pictures. And then I thought, whatever that thing is. That's like,
shit, I wouldn't have gone to it.
I was like, it's following me. But then I was like, I promised everybody that I would at least get IR pictures of the marker. And I was like,
we would have understood.
Well, it was walking behind me. I could hear it. And I was like, this thing is following me. And I was like, well, I promised everybody I'd do it. So I went down there and done it. And that's whenever it screamed and laughed at me is whenever I got back to the car. But,
oh, my gosh.
Hey, I'm telling you, I've never, he couldn't even hardly talk. Me and Brooks and him got on a phone call conversation. And I mean, he just literally was scared. I mean, I've never seen him like that. He said, I don't know if I ever go back down there or not. I mean, it traumatized him.
Yeah.
I built.
I thought I was going to have to take my shirt off and start cutting my chest like on Predator with a big knife and start calling out.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie though too.
The first
Oh
one,
my
first
gosh,
one
yeah,
was fantastic.
yeah, yeah,
They burnt it when they kept coming up with other sequels.
Yeah,
yeah.
they get a
I
little
don't even watch them.
crazy.
I'm like, whatever.
You know,
First
I
time,
always
yeah,
said, why would a woman want a man with a six pack when she could have one with a keg, right?
I call it a fat pack. Yeah, I mean, I'm all right with it.
But no, that place is a. I'm usually not afraid to go to them places. I've heard a lot of weird things, but that place it did bother me.
Mm-hmm.
It
I don't.
was very active, very evil. I didn't expect to get a call back because it wasn't even totally dark when I done it. I mean, the sun was still setting, and it was already calling back.
yeah.
I
Right.
did find out something I didn't know though, just from studying. I think I know why people get paranormal activity when they go Bigfooting. I think I have figured out part of that now. I mean, my theory is they're Nephilim anyway, but I think I may have figured out another puzzle piece to that. If you go out and you know how the old saying was, knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that witches and stuff used to knock on wood to call spirits out of trees?
Yeah.
No.
Never heard that.
Yeah. Force
When you
beings.
get a
Yeah.
chance, yeah, look it up when you get a chance. That is an old thing that they used to do to call the spirits out of the trees because they believe that the spirits live in the trees. How many times have you heard a Bigfoot hunter say, "We was following it and it went into a tree"?
Mm-hmm. One of my YouTubers that I know, he caught them looking out. I mean, they were huge, and they were looking out of the tree up at the top. He caught several of them doing that. That's what hooked him on being a Bigfoot researcher.
And then he
I
found a
would
red
like to go
marker.
back. Yeah, I would like to go back to the place to where where the trail has the X on it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty neat place.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is people know that area, and whenever I go down there on a live, I think that I'm getting a infiltration of people harassing me, and it's probably not all cryptid. It's probably I'm thinking humans, which isn't smart to do.
Right.
Right.
But unfortunately, you have to deal with people like that sometimes, and you know, it's not real smart to go sneaking up somebody, in the woods and try to scare them.
No.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
Just like putting a ghillie suit on and walking through the woods while people were hunting,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
liable to get shot.
Yeah, because a lot of people shoot at sound. They don't even care if they see it or not. They
Yeah.
just shoot
Right.
at sound.
Yeah. Sure.
But especially an inexperienced hunter.
I mean, that would be like putting on a Bigfoot suit and go walking through the woods.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But down where I live, you'd probably run into a bunch of rednecks, and they'd probably spotlight you and shoot you.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh yeah.
It's true because they think, okay, there's our money ticket right there.
Yeah. All you
Yeah.
see spotlights and four-wheel drives and four-wheelers and
Look,
Yeah.
that thing's got eye shine. Shoot it.
Yeah.
yeah. And then my zipper would be caught. So I'd be standing out there going, "Roo, roo, 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 roo."
Oh my God.
Roo-ga-roo.
They'd be unloading on me.
Oh Lord.
Drive me into town with me strapped on the hood of their truck.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord.
Well, Brittany, that's really all I got really tonight, unless you have any more.
Yeah.
I would like to get you and your sister to come back on. Sounds like your sister has some really cool stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's got some different things that have happened, and it's and it just to sit back and just kind of to be on this platform and talk about it. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I really have had a lot of different things that have happened, but it's like you don't sit and dwell on it. So,
No.
there's been a lot of different things that we've just all experienced, and I've got a couple of other stuff. But I'd be willing to get my sister back on here, and we can share more stories, and
Part
you
three.
all can hear from her, and
I'd love to hear them. It
Yeah.
interests me a lot, and
yeah,
first person encounters I think is awesome because we get to hear what
yeah,
that person actually see, and it's not somebody's story
Right.
that
Right.
I've known since 1982. That's my best friend that owns the pawn shop down the road.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think we should do that if she wants to do it. We should, and I'm sure everybody would like to hear that. What
And two, anybody that's watching that has encounters, we'd
Yeah,
love to have y'all on too.
yes,
We'd love to hear your
yeah,
stories.
yeah.
and,
Because
and if they're really really bad, Scott will travel to your house and get rid of them for you.
let's hope you don't say, I wonder if there's really something here and something hit a window.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
start running.
Yeah. Don't ever
my
think out loud and say it. I'm telling you.
Scott will be like Paladin, have gun will travel.
Oh Lord.
Well, guys, I think we'll wrap this one up. Brittany, I really appreciate you coming back on, and I hope to have you and your sister come back on. Sounds like y'all's got some good encounters, and she's got some manifestations and stuff. It'd be really cool to hear.
She's got so many different things. Yeah, even stories from the next door neighbors, and she's got a really good one. But I would like you guys to hear that from her.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'd be definitely willing to come back on, and
Yeah, definitely.
try to get her on here. So
Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, Brooke, Scott, would you all like to say anything to Brittany or anything before we wrap it up?
We love you, Brittany.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
I love you all too.
We are family.
Yes.
That is.
Oh, I just want to say again, thank you all for having me on. I enjoyed my time, and it's just nice to hear all of your stories and testimonies too. And keeping you all in prayer, and you, Mike and Hunter, and when two or more or three are gathered in God's name, he's amongst us, and I just pray for us all, and keep us all safe from hurt, harm, and danger. Mike, I know that the storms have passed over you, so I truly do believe you are covered by the blood of Jesus. All of us are, and we just give God all the glory and praise, and thank Him for where we're at today. And He's always working. Nothing's impossible nothing's impossible without God, and He gave us the authority, and we just got to remember to put Him first, and not to focus on the storm that we are in, but to focus on His word, and to focus on what He says about us. He says we are the head, we are not the tail. We are above, we're not beneath. He says we'll have favor everywhere we go. He gave us the power and authority, and to ask upon Him, and He'll give us favor, and we will receive that. And again, we just give you, God, all the glory and praise. And I'm very thankful, like I said, to have been here with you all. And I'll keep you all in prayer. And I truly thank you for having me here. And I pray that He keeps you all safe from hurt, harm, and danger. And we're praying and rooting for Hunter to come home. And we put it in God's hands. So.
Amen.
Amen. I stand with you on that. I agree with you.
I stand with you too.
Me too.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, and we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night. Bye. Thank you.
Guys, we had a really good show with Brittany. She's always just an awesome person to have on our show. Hopefully, we'll get her and her sister back, and we'll be able to hear what her sister has to say. It sounds like they've had a lot of encounters. We thank each and every one of you for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button on your way out. That helps the video's algorithm and getting it out there for us. And again, we thank each and every one of you for the support for the channel, the support for Hunter. I'd like to thank my moderators for being here every time I need them. They're a big support in getting Hunter home and helping get the videos done, produced, and out. So thank you, everybody. And again, we do not recommend, endorse, or tell you to go watch the videos we spoke about in this. It was informational purposes only. And we'll see you on the next one. Keep your head on a swivel and don't be something's dinner.